From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon and welcome to the African and Middle East Division. I'm Mary Jane Deeb, I'm Chief of the Division, and I'm really happy to see you all here. And I'm happy that we're having this presentation with the genealogist Daniel Horowitz. This Hebraic section is co-sponsored with the Jewish Genealogy Society of Greater Washington. And we thank the society and its president, Dr. Alpert, and its members for their co-sponsorship and their continuous interest in our division. In fact, last year, the Genealogy Society was also here in May 2016. It was also there for the program on the Blumenthal's of the Upper Lower Peninsula of Michigan. So we had a program that was sort of preceded yours in doing this. As most of you already know, our division is made up of three sections: the African, the Middle Eastern, and the Hebraic section. And we cover, we're responsible at least for the collections from 78 different countries in Africa, then the Middle East, throughout the Middle East, Central Asia, the Caucasus. We go off almost China, and sometimes, depending on the collections we represent. We also invite scholars and experts who have researched and done work here at the library or elsewhere, and who are knowledgeable about areas that we know more generally about and they know more about as experts themselves. Genealogy, of course, is a very important, of a great importance here at the library. We actually have a whole division that deals with local history and genealogy. The library's genealogy collection began as early as 1815 with the purchase of the Thomas Jefferson's Library. Our digitized materials on U.S. history, for example, include first-person accounts of 19th century California, the Upper Midwest from 1820 to 1910, the Chesapeake Bay Area from 1600 to 1925, and other resources for genealogy research. We also have bibliographies and guides and local history and genealogy. And we have programs such as this one that focus on genealogy. And so now our very own Sharon Horowitz, no relation I've been told, the senior reference librarian in the Hebraic section, will introduce Mr. Horowitz and the program, after which you will be enlightened on how to do research here at the library and to come down. And Dr. Alpert will also say a few words. But first, let me call on Sharon Horowitz. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Welcome to the African and Middle Eastern Reading Room. On behalf of the Jewish Genealogy Society of Greater Washington and the Hebraic section, let me thank you all for coming to today's program in celebration of Jewish American Heritage Month. As you heard, I'm Sharon Horowitz, and I'm reference librarian in the Hebraic section. The Hebraic section marks its beginning in 1912 with the receipt of 10,000 Hebrew books and pamphlets whose purchase was made possible by a gift from New York philanthropist Jacob Schiff. From those humble beginnings, our collections have grown to around 250,000 items in Hebrew, Yiddish, Ladino, Judeo-Persian, and other Hebraic script languages. The Hebraic section also includes an important collection of books in Ge'ez, Amharic, and Tigrinya, the languages of Ethiopia, past and present. Our section's holdings are particularly strong in the subject areas of Bible and rabbinics, liturgy, Hebrew language and literature, responsa, and Jewish history. Two of our missions in this division are to publicize our collections and to bring people into the library. One way we accomplish this second goal is by holding lectures and having programs such as the one we are hosting here today. Before I introduce today's speaker, it is my pleasure to call upon Dr. Eugene Alpert, President of the Jewish Genealogy Society of Greater Washington, and one of today's program's co-sponsors, to say a few words about the society.
Thank you, Sharon. Even though it was stated that Mr. Horowitz and Sharon Horowitz are not related, you never know. I went through my life saying I wasn't related to Herb Alpert until I started doing genealogical research, although I don't know for sure. Our families came from the same town in Belarus, so you never know. It is my honor to be here today and to thank the Africa and Middle East Division of the Library of Congress for helping to sponsor and support the celebration of Jewish American Heritage Month. And I represent the Jewish Genealogy Society of Greater Washington. We are a nonprofit organization founded in 1980. Our mission is to help people discover, document, and share their Jewish family history. We have over 300 members. We meet about once a month with a special program, and Mr. Horowitz was there yesterday to talk about his work with DNA testing through MyHeritage. And we do help people to help find their relatives around the world using DNA or using research or using personal family recollections. We have some membership brochures on the desk over there in the corner. I have one up here, so you can always contact us through www.jgsgw.org. You're really in for a treat today because you're going to be hearing from someone who has given so many different presentations on so many different topics in genealogy. I know Daniel will be probably swamped after the presentation today. He is like a walking encyclopedia of genealogy, so you're really going to enjoy the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Alpert. And now, a word about our speaker. Mr. Horowitz was the teacher and study guide editor for 15 years of the Family History Project, Searching for My Roots in Venezuela. He was a founder of the Jewish Genealogy Society of Venezuela. He has a BSc in computer engineering, a specialization in education, and a degree in management of educational institutions. He is employed at MyHeritage since 2006, where he works in product development, customer support, and public affairs, and he speaks at conferences around the world. A resident of Israel since 2005, Mr. Horowitz is on the boards of the Israel Genealogy Research Association and the International Association of Jewish Genealogical Societies and others. One item of business before we begin. This event is being videotaped for subsequent broadcasting. There will be a formal question and answer period after the lecture, at which the audience is encouraged to ask questions and offer comments. Please be advised that your voice and image may be recorded and later broadcast as part of this event. By participating in the question and answer period, you are consenting to the library's possible reproduction and transmission of your remarks. And on your chairs, you'll find a flyer about our blogs and Facebook pages from the international collections. So I urge you to look at them and to subscribe, because you'll be amazed. They're very wonderful things that are being put up on that website. And now, please join me in welcoming Mr. Daniel Horowitz.
Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure and an honor for me to be here after such wonderful presentation and introduction. And I really hope that you will learn today more than about my own personal family, but the ways and the tasks that I did in order to find them and to research them. And I'm going to start with just this very first screen. And you can see in the back a family picture that probably we all have and we recognize from different houses of relatives that we have visited. So I was very young, someday I was very young, yes. And I saw this picture, and I actually started to ask who these people were, and who is this one, and who is this one, and how they are related, and how I am related to those individuals. And I learned very fast that this is my Zinger family. And immediately, I turn out to the salon, and I see this object in the middle, and I say, oh, so we should be famous. Probably we created this machine, and for many years I was very proud, in secrecy, till someday I asked, and they said, no, this belongs to the other family. I said, how? Well, yes, your mother's side of the family, they were tailors, and your grandfather used this as a work. So I very fast learned that we should ask about any object that we have in our houses, because they are histories hidden within. So immediately, of course, in my mind, I made a connection. So my mother's family, which are from Romania, Ciobutaros, are connected to my Zinger families, come from Ukraine, through this machine. Wonderful story. And then I discover a lot of paperwork. Paperwork made by hand many, many years before by my dear uncle Lothar from England. By the time I discovered this paperwork and I realized that all these scribblings are actually names, dates, and places, my uncle Lothar passed away. And because I was interested in all this family history, all this paperwork passed to me. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't that long ago, but till today, the first contact that people has with genealogy is in this way. Probably in a napkin, in a restaurant or a family gathering, when you start collecting names, dates, and places, and you think, well, there should be a better way to do that, like in this blank piece of paper. Well, yes, there is for sure. And I started using computers. Technology. I started to type the names and the places and the dates. The technology also allowed me to take the pictures of these individuals, so they were coming alive with their faces over there. And of course, the technology allowed me to make discoveries, weird discoveries. For example, my great-grandfather, David Mayer Zinger, was married to Bertha Zinger. And of course, you would say, well, obviously, Bertha took the name of her husband when she married. Well, no, she was Zinger Zinger. So when I actually put this into the family tree, I realized that they were actually cousins. Their parents were brothers. And really, with a very wide family tree, in paper was almost impossible for me at the age I was probably 20 years old. Very difficult to realize that these were the same people. So of course I took more interest in this, and I just took my pen and paper, camera, audio recording, video recording, everything I could to interview my relative and ask questions. Questions about things that I already knew, but I had to reconfirm. Things that I had no idea about it and I wanted to know more. And things that may not be even related and were only in my mind and in my fantasy world. Some of them were confirmed indeed. Some of them, unfortunately, were not real. We didn't belong to the Zinger family that had the sewing machine company. No money there. So, when websites came up, I also posted my family tree in a website. And that allowed me to share with other people and allow people to see my research and to tell me, of course, that I was wrong. So they thought. But I kept both whatever I have researched and also what they told me. And I have then many dates and many places and many names for the same person until I found the paperwork or I made the proper research. I kept all my doors open. But that is a way to collaborate and to find new individuals. Until one day in 2013, as you can see over there, I received this weird email from somebody called Sattinger. Okay, and Michael Sattinger tells me that he picked on my family tree. He saw a few of my dead individuals that are not privatized in my family tree, and he thinks that we are related. Of course, I get very excited at the beginning. I went to the family tree. I tried to find those names. I found some similarities, but of course I said, I'm sorry, Michael, but yes, your people came from the same city, Chernovets in Ukraine, from my family, but so far I cannot prove that we are related. But then Michael sends me back an email and say, well, I did further research and I am attaching a naturalization paper where you can see all the relationship between the Zingers and the Sattingers. And this is my great-grandfather, David Sattinger. The name and the dates matches. Came out with the Heyman Sattinger, his grandfather, and he tells me a little bit. But this is what he sent me. And this is actually the first contact that I have with the paper trail in the US, Petition of Naturalization. I had no idea what this paper was about, but of course I started to read it. And I learned a lot of things about not only this person, but his family. And I found out that David Sattinger indeed was born in Romania, was married to Berta Zinger, not my great-grandmother, but another one, and of course names repeats across the family tree, so that it was already a clue. I see other family left back in Chernovitz. I see where and how they immigrated to America. No, America was the name of the ship. And they came from Hamburg, 1913, naturalization, intentions, petitions, numbers. Couldn't find out what that was for now. But then I have two signatures on this document from witnesses. And one is Max Zinger, a restaurateur in New York, and the other one is Samuel Zinger, also restaurateur, with two addresses. Well, by the time I was already a very techie guy, of course, very nice handwriting signature of this person, but I have these two addresses. So what I immediately did is going into Google, put those addresses into Google Maps, and find out very soon how this house looked. I still am not sure if this is my family, but this is a nice to have to see the house that where they may have been living over there. So of course by now I'm all excited, and I send an email, how, Michael, this is gold, thank you very much, you opened me a door. Well, what a door, because Michael just answered me with a zillions more of documents. So I don't have to do any research. Documents are just raining down my way. Picture of the vessel, manifest, immigration, list, records, and everything, declaration, petition. So for sure I had to do a little bit of homework here. Now very fast I started to learn something about American immigration and paperwork. There is the Declaration of Intent, which is a court record, and it was done mostly immediately after arrival for this period. There is the petition of a citizenship that has to have 5 years after the person arrived to the country and requires the witnesses. Remember the two Zinger guys that sign up? Okay. And then there is the Certificate of Naturalization, which since 2006 is centralized by the INS with a form, and the Certificate of Arrival, which consists in a fourth document about this paper trail. 1906 to 1956, this is called the C files, and they are all microfilm. From 1944 till today, it's called the A files, and those are not microfilm to the best of my knowledge up till today. Oh, yes, and you can use the United States CIS Gov research to find the death certificate or the certificate for deaf people. So this is the family that I put all together through this paperwork. You can see over there David Sattinger that married Bertha Sattinger, Zinger. Father, Chaim Zinger, of course, remember the two brothers that married my great-grandparents? Well, this is a third brother. So yes, we are related. We have pictures over there. I have another generation of immigrants coming here. And then one little guy, the only and the youngest person knows from this family. Now, I wanted to learn more about the immigration of this family, so immediately I went to the Ellis Island database, the only database I knew about immigration, the famous database about immigration, and I typed David Sattinger. No results. Okay, so let me look for one of the second generation, Herman Sattinger. Then I got two Herman Sattingers. Well, maybe one is my guy in 1920 and the other one is another guy. Let's start exploring. Oh yes, to do that, you need to log in and create an account. Well, it's free, no problem, let's do it. And then it will allow you to actually see the record, see more information. You can actually purchase a nice copy of this immigration record. Not really my interest. I have all the text over there, all the information that I want. He's single, coming from Amsterdam, coming from Romania, what he speaks, the vessel that he was traveling, manifest line number. Okay, let me see the manifest. I'm a genealogist. I trust you, but I want to see the records. So yeah, I can right up there see the ship manifest. I can see ship information, annotation, text passengers list. This is the manifest. Here they are. And again, an address in New York. Now, do you remember 635 North in New York? That is the information, the address that was in the first naturalization paper that I received. So this guy definitely is the one that I'm looking for. Now, what about the second one, 1950? We're having only two individuals here. Let's look for it. So I went into the passengers. I see the document and the registry. And I don't know if you noted something weird with this record. First of all, 1950. Well, I didn't know a lot about American history by now, but probably he came through Ellis Island in 1950. But definitely I know from my childhood that Pan American World Airlines was not a ship. Well, and then I learned that although Ellis Island was in charge of processing all the ships coming through New York in a period of time, also kept records for planes come to New York. And I learned also that people were put in buses, transport them from the airport to Ellis Island, process them in Ellis Island, and that is the reason why this flight has his passenger records down there. Now, this still doesn't answer me if this is my guy or not, but just by zooming out and reading the whole list, I can read and see that this plane came from Venezuela. Did that ring any bells to you? Yes, I was born there. My family was there. So this guy was also there, visiting my family over there. More than that, because I'm from Venezuela, I know that the identity cards in Venezuelan numbers are very similar to the one that is written over there. Starting with a V, it means that it's a Venezuelan guy. But very interestingly, he was stated as statusless. So the guy came into the United States in 1920, it seems never nationalized or got a residence here in the States, flew to Venezuela to watch what I thought was visiting my family, got an ID over there, and then came back to the United States without any nationality or citizenship. Very strange, but definitely, yes, this is my guy. Now, I decided to go with a wider search and look only for the last name. After all, how many Sattingers can be? No worries, I did the same search for the Zingers. Very fast, came back to the Sattingers. Well, and I found also very interesting information. You remember Berta Zinger, Sattinger, with her daughter, Yeti or Yetta Friedman Sattinger from maiden name. Here I found those two ladies coming into America on the same day, on the same ship. They must be my people. So yeah, for sure, I pull out the manifest from the ship. I see that they're listed right there. No other relative Sattingers coming with them. Of course, that I browse all the ship manifests for Zingers, Sattingers, or any other related. No, they came along. The mother and the daughter came. Mother was 48, the daughter was 16. It gave me the address back in what it's by then Romania, where they are coming from, everything. And just to make it easier to read, here you have all the transcription of the information. So I decided to use another search engine and try to look for Berta Sattinger. And for sure, I went to the 1930 United States Federal Census, because if she came in the 20th, the next census for sure was the 1930th. And indeed, I find her over there, listed with her husband David Sattinger. And I have all the information. They're still living in Brooklyn, New York. The district and the address matches all the places that I had from the paperwork. I could see the census page right there, David, Berta, Yeti. Do you see who are below the Sattingers? They are my Zingers. So not only they are related, they are living at least close enough, if not one on top of the other. And the next step was, of course, after 1930, 1940. No record. Things strange are happening here. Well, probably they die, right? People die, what can we do? So I wanted to find their graves. Very famous website. I put over there the name that I was looking for, and very fast I get the information in Mount Hebron Cemetery in Flushing, Queens. They stick to New York. Good guys. Of course, very frustrating. No photo of the tombstone. I already said I'm a genealogist. I trust you, but I want to see the records with my own eyes. So I found out the website of Mount Hebron Cemetery. They very graciously have a search engine where I can put the last name and the first name of the person. By now, I look only for last names, and not only Berta, which you already know, not only Herman, which you already met, but now we have an Ernestina buried in, if not the exact location, very close for sure on the same plot. So pretty much sure this is all my families. Of course, I see that there is a link. I tried to hit the link. No images. Too bad. I know I can go to the New York Department of Record and ask for a death certificate. It's really inexpensive. It has a lot of information, but there is only one problem. And no, it's not that I'm in Israel and this is in New York, because through the internet you can still ask for the record and get it, but it takes time. And we genealogists are very impatient. We want everything and we want it now. So I did fill that, but in the meantime, I went to other websites to try to look for more information. So I go to the birth, marriage, and death category. I type my Berta Sattinger information. For sure, I found her over there. I found the Find a Grave record. I found Jewish Gen information about her, but I also find her in the death certificate record with a lot of information, but no image. Okay, at least I am one step further on my research getting this information. But then I learned from a friend that all those images were microfilmed by the Mormons, by Family Search. And they are also available through their catalog. They have a lot of records. They also have the censuses available through their website from your house without any problem. But the death records, those you need to go to the library in order to see it and copy them. So, well, what's the problem? Let's go to the library. I'm fortunately enough to visit Salt Lake City. The Family History Library there is what I consider the Disneyland for genealogists. They have over there every record and every microfilm that they have ever scanned and digitized. Now, and if not, because you're asking for a very rare microfilm, no worries. You do a petition. In 24 hours, they copy it from their vault and they bring it up to you and you can go and scan it. So this is what I did. I looked for the microfilm and there are like 11 or 12 corridors just like that. You open the drawer, you take out the microfilm, and you see it on one of the microfilm readers and you start making exercise. Well, very soon I found the page that I was looking for, and faster than what the New York office could give me, I have the death certificate of Berta Sattinger, married to David Sattinger, with all the information, his father, Chaim Zinger from Austria, her mother, maiden name, and the signature, the address, everything I know how she died now. Now, she died, she passed away. I already know that Herman, that you have over here, also passed away. By the year, I assume everybody else also passed away. But this little guy down the line, probably the only living individual that I know from this family. So I knew he was married with a Sarah. He had to be about 65 years old, maybe living in New York, because if the family didn't move for so long, why he would move? Well, again, I went to Rav Google, as my son says, and I typed Salo Sattinger, age approximately 60, and I came up with this White Pages website where it tells me that he lives in 1753 63rd Street in Brooklyn, New York. Now, how good is your memory? Did it ring any bells? Yes. This is the same address from the naturalization record that I had before. Bingo, I have my guy right here. Now, of course, that I could also go to other places and check his criminal records, his bank accounts, and all kind of things that don't mind for me. I'm a genealogist, not a private investigator. So I have here all the information. Now, very curiously, they give me the possible related. Now, I have no idea who is Alexandra Sattinger, but look here, Herman pops up again. Good, I'm in the right track. Yeah. So, same Herman that was buried on the cemetery over there. So again, Google gives me the picture of the house where he lives, and MyHeritage gives me the opportunity to travel to New York. And what do? Ding dong. No, of course I talk first on the phone and I invite myself, yes. And then I met this wonderful guy, Salo Sattinger Zinger. He gives me all this information. He shows me all the pictures. Of course, he has the very black and white Zinger family picture that was passed to every descendant. That is like the sealing that he belongs to my family. But then he said, "Do you know Karl Wolff?" No. Well, this guy, Karl Wolff, lives in California, and he's a descendant of someone in the family. You should contact him. Of course, I'm going to contact him. Give me the phone number. He gave it to me. I have all the information. So now I'm in New York. I have some time, and I have a car. What would you do? Well, my wife will go shopping. Sure. I go to the cemetery. Remember? Flushing, Queens, right there. My family's waiting for me. So let's go. And then, of course, I get to the cemetery. I go to the office. I ask for the Sattingers. They gave me names that are not listed on the website. The names that they have on the website are not listed on the office. Very clearly, they have no idea who they have buried over there. And then, of course, they tell me, well, you know, it's 4:15, and we close the cemetery at 5. If you're not out by 5, you will need to jump the fence. Well, that's not a problem, but the car is going to be a little bit of a challenge. So I have two options. Either go to the plot and look for my relative and then take pictures of the cemetery, of the tombstones, or pull out my phone, smartphone, pull out my Billion Graves application, and start taking pictures of every tombstone that I see. Now, this is not the first time I do this. I normally do this in Israel. I can do between 400 and 450 tombstones in an hour. Very easy, very fast. I will strongly suggest you to try it. So I have about 40 minutes to take pictures and take my car out of there. I run into the whole area. I don't read the tombstones. I just make sure I capture all the stone in the picture. I surround the stone, make sure that there's nothing on the sides. I take out a little bit of the bushes. Now, this is my first experience also with a U.S. cemetery. And this is the first time that I see all these pillars and the entrance of the plot. And I learned a little bit of how Jewish groups bought this piece of land, and they made a collaborative office to put money into it and benefit everybody over there. And there I start, afterwards, of course, back home, I start reading those names. And do you see those names over there? Zingers, Max Zinger, Max, the restaurateur, also here involved in the community. And of course, after I looked into my pictures, I have over there Bertha Sattinger, I have David Abram Sattinger, I have Herman, we already know him, but then I have Regina, I have Sally, I have Joseph, I have Enya, I have everybody, or almost everybody, in my family over there. Of course, now if I go into Billion Graves, I can look for more records, I can find other people buried not only in that cemetery, but also in other ones. And the very great advantage is that if I want to go back, because remember, I just took pictures. I had no idea where the location of this stone was. I have the picture with the information. On the Billion Graves, it will mark exactly the geolocation of that stone. So next week, when I'm in New York, guess what I'm going to do? Yes, I'm going to visit the cemetery, and I'm going to get and light a candle in those stones. Now, back to Karl Wolff. Who was this guy? Well, you already knew my great-grand-uncle Chaim Zinger, so he had a daughter, Hencia Zinger. You just saw her tombstone right there. So she had also a couple of son and daughter, and I realized that I was actually missing one person here. They have a third kid, a girl in this case, Sally Singer Wolf. She married Jacob Wolf, and they had a son, Carl Wolf. So let's get in touch with this guy. I phoned him, he's in California. I woke him up. Yes, there's a time difference between New York and California. Curious the things you learn with genealogy, huh? And he was very gracious to give me all the information. Look how beautiful my family tree looks now. I have pictures, I have dates, I have places, I have everything over there. And of course, I have more people to research. And then I went to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, because I learned that all these people didn't left with the other part of the family. They were in the Holocaust. They were survivors of the Second World War, and they were registered somehow, or at least that I thought, in the Holocaust Museum Memorial. And there's another place which I definitely encourage you to research. The only caveat here is that for better research, you should do it physically. And there's only 11 countries, meaning 11 places where you can do that. Well, actually 12. In Israel, we cheat a little bit. In Israel, you should go to Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust museum over there. But what not everybody knows is that the Jerusalem one, everybody knows, huge museum, huge research over there. But there's another branch in a little city called Ramat Gan. And over there you can go, of course, nothing like the Library of Congress, but they have computers and they have access to this database. And for sure, I went here in Washington and I found Joseph Singer with Henia Singer in a collection named over there. Now, these are what they call DP camp cards, meaning after the war, people went to these camps. They were cataloged, they were recorded, not only themselves, but also the people that were together in the family. So here I learned that Joseph Singer was also accompanied by Nora, Mally, Wolf, Jacob, names starts to appear, Regina, and Bert Hollenberg. I found also the dates match, the people match. I found the Nora Singer, same date, okay, that's weird, but that's the name I have. And then, of course, I went back to immigration records because I knew that they died here. And I found an Honora Singer. So it's Henia, it's Nora, it's Honora, where depending the day of the week, she changed her name or probably somebody typed it wrong. But the dates all were together the same. The address was the same. So definitely, yes, this is my relative. So keep an eye on the names. Names change it. I'm not talking about last names. I'm talking about first names. So I have my family here. And if you see the people that accompany this Joseph Singer guy, I see Jacob and Sally, just as my family tree and Carl gave it to me. And I found Beryl, Tepera, and Regina right there. And I found the cards for the Hollenberg family, and Beryl and Tepera right there. Regina Tepera, you remember from the cemetery that I took the picture. Now, Beryl, it's totally a mystery. He was not buried over there. I haven't been able to find him in any other cemetery. Nobody knows what happened. And if you see, and if you notice, there is a discrepancy with the last name. He left Europe with the name Hollenberg, and he was recorded in the United States with the name Tepera. This is a mysterious guy. If you see it somewhere around, please let me know. I'm still looking for him. Now, of course, the more information I put in my family tree, the more records, the more matches, the more connections I do with other people and with other families. MyHeritage is very useful for pointing me in the right direction, and of course I don't take anything for granted. I like to see the records, so I go over and I research all these collections right here. And this is only a sample of the US collections where my family is recorded. This is a sample of Bertha Zinger and Sattinger, how they appear. You can see the pictures, you can see other family trees that also have the same information. Most of them, my own cousins that are stealing my information, but I'm fine with it as long as they said it's coming from me. Now, I also have another branch of my family that I would like to share with you, and this is the Menchel family. Now, this family came a little bit earlier to the United States and had a little bit different records and experience here. Of course, I'm already kind of an expert with immigration records in the United States. I know the index back and forth. I know the numbers, and I very easy find Tessie Menchel. And only because she was registered with her last name, with her married last name, of course, because otherwise I would never find her. Well, this is the petition of naturalization. You already know those type of documents. And if I zoom in, you can see that she was known as Pesse Grun. That's why I said I would never find her if she was not kind enough to mention in this same document that Pesse Grun and Tessie Menchel is actually the same person. And of course, a wealth of information again for me. I have dates, I have places, I have addresses. I'm not surprised already, Bronx, New York, the same streets, the same places. But I have here also the kids. Donald, no, not that one. This is another one. And the other one, Sydney, yes, thank you. Sydney and Donald with their birthday dates and all the information. So let's look more into Pesse Grun now. I know the name she came before, and I have the immigration record, and this is another wealth of information. I have Pesse Grun, and I can see that somebody wrote over there green, and at certain point somebody decided to correct it to Grun. Grun, green is actually the same thing. It all depends on the language and the pronunciation. And I find more people here. Pesse was 18, was a child when she arrived with the mother, 48, but she had also two siblings over there. And if I scroll to the side of the record, I find actually more information. I know Tessie grandfather, Leib Green. I told you, Green, Grun is the same thing. He was left back in Poland, I guess alive for this time of the year. Of course, all these numbers, I'm already an expert. It means all the naturalization and petition, so I can go to the index and I can get all the information from there. Now remember that she was married to Abraham Menchel, and of course I found him in the 1940 census with all the information where he lived, the relatives, and everybody over there. And I found that Sydney in 1940 was 14 years old and Donald was 7. Now I'm very bad with math, but I can tell you that if they were 14 and 7, especially Sydney, in 1940, by the time of the war, he was already available for military duty. So I went to the National Archive because I heard that they had a wonderful collection of military records. So I scan over there, I read all the information, I make a few phone calls, send a few emails, and very fast I found that indeed Sydney Menchel was in the military since 31 of October 1943 until at least 31 of January 1945. What he did, he was a radar operator, and he was stationed here in the United States, so he never went back to Europe to fight. Now, if I am already in New York, I don't know how many of you have the knowledge of this recent initiative, Reclaim the Records, right? New York and other places are being requested to submit those indexes to make them publicly available. My very good friend, I have to share, Brooke Gans, she is managing this initiative, getting the images transcribed and available to everybody on the internet. She received a few years directly on digital. So she made this search page where I just put Donald Menschel. I heard that he was married to Barbara, and there she is, right on the first line, Barbara Winograd with Donald Menschel, married in Brooklyn, 1957, and how wonderful. This record is more than 50 years, so it's actually open, and I already filed a petition to get a copy of the certificate. Now, of course, I have many, many more family in the United States, but my time is limited because I have a job, because I have another family to take care, and because I'm traveling a lot. But don't worry, I'm pretty sure that with a little help of the technology and a little help of other genealogists and researchers, I will be able to keep track of all these family, all these events that happen across the United States. And for sure, my very most decided dream is to keep traveling and keep visiting family and knowing those different people over there. Now, here are the techniques to research that I would like you to adopt or suggest you. First, build your family tree, especially with good technology. I have no problem if you start with a pen and paper, but move as closely, as fast as you can to a good technology. Contact and interview your relatives. Those that you already know, please make phone calls, send emails. The sooner the better, because, people, as I said, life is short. Travel the countries. Well, if you can, enjoy. If not, internet is still a good way to, at least virtually, traveling. Google have not only a search engine, but also the places, the Google Maps, that you can see where your relative lived. Try to encourage family reunion, which is what I do in every place that I'm going. Try to contact my family and gathering together to have more information. Share and collaborate with them. Tell them what you know, tell them what you don't know, and I'm pretty sure they're going to start telling you stories and facts that you never heard before. It's also very convenient to invite them afterwards to the family tree so they can see, depending on how many individuals you have in your family tree, depending how much information you have researched, you can either allow them to touch and collaborate. In my case, 7,000 individuals and more than 30 years of research, nobody touches it. You want to add something, not a problem. Send it to me and I will be more than happy, not only to add it, but also with the proper source citation. This was given to me by this person on this date in this way. And last thing for sure, subscribe to forums and shout out your research. Every time you have the opportunity, every time you have a gathering, tell everybody the last names, the names, your brick walls, the things that you are researching. You never know, as it was said already on the beginning of the presentation, you never know from where and how your brick wall is going to be broken, and you are going to discover a wonderful wealth of information over there. So, thank you very, very much for having me here again. Now, you have also met my U.S. Jewish family. I really hope that you picked on some of the tips and the research that I have done, and you can apply to your family, and hopefully you also will find a lot of your family members. Thank you very, very much, and I can answer any question that you want. Yes, go ahead. Yes, sir.
I noticed you didn't mention the Jewish online burial records, and you didn't mention Jewish data. Have you had any?
The question was that I didn't mention the Joe Bar or Jewish World Burial Records and Jewish Gen.
No, Jewish data.
Jewish Data. That's a separate website. So let's focus first. Jewish Data. That's an easy one. Yes, it's a website that collects Jewish information for sure. It's subscribed. It's a paid membership. Some societies, some places have it for free. I did research over there, including the Library of Congress. Didn't knew that. Thank you very much for letting me know. I did search over there, but didn't find, unfortunately, a lot of, I would say, good stuff. Like, yes, I found the burials and the places, but no images, and just the numbers or the places depending for the cemeteries. Now, Jewish Gen and the Jewish World Burial Records Project, again, yes, I did find a little bit over there, not always with images. I mentioned, actually, I did mention Jewish Gen when I was searching through Ancestry, because there is a partnership, and in Ancestry you can find records from over there. The only reason that I didn't mention it here was because of how I built my presentation. I for sure use them and have a few pieces and beats of my family gathered from there.
Abraham Lauber is putting gravestones on Jewish data,
Mhm.
and I'm wondering if we're talking about the same thing.
Yes.
Anytime you find information about a grave on Jewish data, there will be a photograph of the gravestone.
Okay, so the comment is that photos are being placed in Jewish Data. You mentioned the creator of the website, Abraham Lauber. Yes, I'm familiar with him. And again, I didn't mention a lot of other places and websites available over there. I have to be constrained on the time of the presentation. But even more than that, just go ahead and Google it. You will find a lot of other resources out there. Yes, Patrice, yeah.
You mentioned family reunions. Have you had a family reunion with your U.S. family?
I mentioned family reunions, and yes, I had one here in, I had one in New York with the Menchels. Actually, one of the cousins lives here in D.C., and I will meet him today. Then, yes, Carl Wolf, of course, I met him also in California. Interesting fact, I didn't find Carl's mother burial, although that by the time she was 102. And the reason is because today she's 104 and kicking. So yes, every place I go, I try to meet with my family. Unfortunately, there has not been like a huge United States family reunion. Distance here are quite big, but definitely I will encourage you to contact everyone. Yes, sir. So the question was how and where I document all the stories that I get from the families. Yes, so the first thing I do is I ask permission, and immediately I pulled this small device where we used to make calls with it. So now I use it to record video and audio the conversations. and then I go over it and I transcribe the pieces and the data that I collect for the family tree, for the facts. But I also have the recording, the digital recording uploaded to the website, and then I tag that recording with the people mentioned in that recording. The next step, of course, will be to transcribe the whole conversation and the whole history. Normally, softwares and websites have places to do that. You have other websites and other software that are specially dedicated into family histories recording, and you can use them. It all depends on what do you feel comfortable with. And you should try a few, and you should work with whatever feels more comfortable. But definitely, record, save, and share, for sure. Yes, madam.
Did you finally get an identity for every person in this picture?
Finally, yes, for sure. I have the names and the relationship of everyone in this family, including that little baby boy that actually gave me the year and the date that the picture was taken. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Yes, madam.
Were you able to find out which of your family died in the Holocaust and where?
Family that died in the Holocaust, yes. Both the Holocaust Museum here in Washington, both Yad Vashem, also in Israel, which you can very easily access through their website. They have pages of testimony over there. I found the people that perished over there, mostly reported by those survivors. But yes, I could go a little bit further into Europe, and again, thankful enough, I also visit the places where we lived and managed to gather the information firsthand from there. So yes, it is possible.
Have any of your family members taken a DNA test?
If my family have taken a DNA test, of course they did. And you know who was the second person? Remember that 104-year-old lady? Well, she suffers Alzheimer's. She has no idea who she is and why this guy was trying to open her mouth to scrub her inner cheek. But yes, we have her DNA. We have Carl Wolf DNA as well. And I'm encouraging, of course, everybody in my family to take a DNA test. And the DNA have proven that this is really my family. Just in case with all the paperwork was not enough, yes, I found relationship between second cousins twice removed and all these difficult relationships proven by DNA. So yes, definitely another resource. Yes, madam.
Can you tell what is
The
the number of family members you have found?
number of the family members I have found, well, my family tree has now 7,000 individuals, a little bit more than 7,000 individuals, but I cheated a little bit. I had also to put boundaries. If somebody married into the family, I may or may not put their parents, and that's it. For example, you saw the example of Tessie Green. I have her. I don't have her parents, although I have the records. I don't have her grandparents or the siblings. And it's just more a personal choice than other. I would say probably a couple hundreds I found through research with documents, interviews, and people, immediate family members I didn't know, although the big part of the family I knew from my childhood in Venezuela. Okay? Yes, please.
Well, thank you very much. It was very exciting. I had a question. Where does Mr. Horowitz come in? Because you talked about the Zingers and the Settingers, but you didn't talk about Horowitz.
Yeah, for where does my Horowitz came from? My Horowitz came from the town of Chernovitz, same as the Zingers. Actually, my grandfather Horowitz married my grandmother Zinger in Chernovitz. But then they immigrated either to Venezuela or to Israel. They were not in the United States. I also have done a lot of extensive research about them. in Chernovitz, in Venezuela, in Israel. A branch also went with my uncle Lothar to England, and I have founded over there. But for some reason, they didn't came to United States. One more question, and I can stay for later on if you want. Yes, madam.
Do you have a resource for those organizations that you find on the gates to a cemetery, the name?
A research for the organizations on the cemeteries. I will suggest Jewish Gen for sure. Jewish Gen has an extensive list of burial societies and plots that were bought for this societies. There is a word in German that's Laftmannschaften. Thank you very much. It escaped my mind. That's the word that you are going to look for. The Laftmannschaft. Ich spreche nicht kein Deutsch, but yes, just Google Jewish Gen. They should bring you the information. Excellent. It was mentioned the YIVO Institute in New York has a list of all this. There are really multiple of resources out there. I just took a very few, the ones that gave me the most amount of information on my research and the most interesting pieces for my research, but definitely you cannot leave any stone unturned to find your relative. Thank you very, very much again for being here, and enjoy the rest of your day.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.